All right, we're back with another commentary video. This time I'm going to be covering Police Quest 2. So, I loved Police Quest 2 over Police Quest 1 so much more because you don't have to drive in this game. I should say you do drive, but you just basically tell it where you're driving. Like, so if you have to go to the airport, you just say drive to airport. And Keith, being familiar with the city, just drives to the airport. Rather than in Police Quest 1, if you watch that video, I frequently crashed when I was trying to steer and control this tiny little thing that is supposed to represent the police car that I'm in. So that said, I greatly appreciate what they did with Police Quest 2 to improve that aspect, at least for me, for not having to deal with that dexterity control of, trying to make a quick left, quick right. I just think this is a much better interface in terms of driving. So I'm going to go ahead and start talking about this video, but in the meantime, if you have not already, throw on the handcuffs on the like button. Go ahead and throw them into the car and click like. And if you want, take your nightstick and beat the notification button so you don't miss any future videos that are released. I do try to do these fairly frequently, and currently I have it set so every day at midnight Pacific Standard Time, a Sierra-related music video is released. They're uploaded at random. I have no idea what's next. The only one I know is I made one specifically for Halloween that just has a collection of creepy, sort of haunty music for Halloween. So if you want to be notified when all those come out and you enjoy listening to me talk, you can hit that like and subscribe and notification button thing and just be set. All right, so here we are. We're Sunny. We've been upgraded, or promoted, I should say, not necessarily upgraded. We've been promoted, and now we're just gonna walk around. And when I first came into the police station, I'm just kind of looking at everything. And there's, uh, computer here that you can go into, and there's different directories such as homicide, Sierra, personnel. So I tried to get into a few of them, and a few of them have passwords that you need to find somewhere in the game. And sorry about that. It's my phone. But the Sierra one you can go into, and it kind of gives you a little recap about each of the little Sierra games that are currently available, which include King's Quest 1, 2, 3, and I think 4, Manhunter, Thexter, Police Quest 1 and 2, Leishes Larry 1 and 2, and Space Quest 1, 2, and 3. So you can kind of go through these and have a little bit of fun. There's no points awarded in doing this. I just thought it was kind of fun to look at each one and see. But like I said, if you try to switch to any of the other ones, you need to find the password somewhere. So we're going to go ahead, and because it's Police Quest, I look at literally everything. So there was like a coat hanging on a hanger. I just went up to the coat, said look coat, search coat. Okay, cool. Nothing in the coat. And so as we make our way, there's our partner Keith, who will quickly probably annoy you because every time you're on a crime scene, he basically leaves to go do something else, which, is supposedly helping out, but he's not really doing too much to help out because every time he leaves to go do something, spoiler alert, he never adds anything to the investigation. And when you drive around with him in your car, all he does is chain smoke, and you keep telling him about smoking, but he never quits. So we're walking around and just talking to everyone I see. See if anyone has any information. Just look man, and then get their name, and then say, hey, talk to them. And everyone kind of has something cool to say. This guy that I just talked to about the 15 jock straps, even on the next day, he says he should have been on the Sting the other day, which I guess can still fit, but it didn't look like time had moved forward when I spoke to him. The conversation didn't change, which was kind of a bummer. Could have been kind of cool if his conversation changed to say something else. And so the combo of the locker, if you didn't know, you have to look at the back of your card to get the combo of your locker. There's a couple of things that are really, I don't know how to say it. Like, I just thought they tried too hard to make it difficult. Like, they tried too hard to basically sell hint books. For example, one of the things is an inventory item you get is your wallet. You open your wallet, you say, look, wallet. It says, yeah, it's your wallet. Cool. Whatever. Or it's your badge. which I'm about to grab here. And so, where it says it's your wallet is in the drawer, but why is my wallet in the drawer? Like, shouldn't that be with me if I'm driving around? But anyway, I say get note, get letter, whatever. Finally get it. And what's weird is you'll see here, it's going to read, and it's from Marie, who, if you don't remember from Police Quest 1, she was a lady of the evening, a escort, a prostitute who Sunny knows really well. She does call him Precious frequently, and seems like there's a relationship there. She is his informant, but they don't incline that, or they don't indicate that it's more than that. But they do seem very, very, very friendly. Anyway, in Police Quest 2, because you include her in the sting, you tried to warn her about the prostitution sting, and you include her in the bust to nail um, Jesse Baines. Let's try that again. In the first one, and so you get really close with her, and it basically turns her life around. Like she's got her own house and all this other stuff. And right there, that's what I was talking about. You literally have to search inside your wallet, and you'll find her scuba certificate. Now, you'll find out you have a scuba certificate much later in the game when something else happens, and the guy will say, "Hey, do you have your scuba certificate?" And you always carry this wallet once you find it. So all you have to do is find your wallet. You won't dead end. You won't have to leave. But it is really, really silly that they hit it so hard or so difficult. Like they didn't have like a card kind of poking out when you said look wallet to indicate, oh, maybe there's something hidden in my wallet that I, Sonny Bonds, should know about. Because you would think the player, as Sonny Bonds, would know I have a scuba certificate in my wallet. So you would just look there to look at it and verify you have it. The game just assumes you don't know, which is fine, but it does make it more difficult. Anyway, we find out that our buddy Jesse Baines has broken out of jail, and now we need to basically find a way to track him down, get some information on him. And what's really weird, and it might be in the end, I do miss about, I think it's like 20 points. But when you go into the file cabinet, you can get his mugshot. But it's just a little bit later you actually get an updated version of his mugshot where he's got like the longer hair and stuff. And I actually never used the old mugshot of him. So it was really weird that I was able to get an old mugshot of him, but as far as I knew, I couldn't find it. So there you go. If you look at the captain's desk, it says it has papers on there. And if you look at his papers, it mentions 3 passwords. So now we have the passwords essentially to log into the computer and check out the other stuff. But also, if you look at the billboard, it says that you have not scored very well with the gun thing. So come over here and you're like, I want to practice. I don't know. This guy doesn't want to let me practice. You would think that just saying you want to practice shooting would work. So at the moment, I'm just going to walk around and the captain yells at me and says, you have a job to do. Basically, go find out more about Jesse Baines. So we're going to go ahead and leave. And again, he yells at me. So now that I have the passwords, I'm going to try to see if there's anything in here that I need to find. I didn't memorize all the passwords, so I go back and look at it again and pauses there for a moment because I'm actually writing them down on a piece of paper when I originally played it so that I could try the different passwords because I didn't know which one was which. And so now that I'm in here, I'm going to go through all these files, and I don't think anything awards any points, but you can find out about the various different criminals and stuff like that, and homicide and all these other areas. Also, it helps if you know how to spell pistachio the first time. So what you can do is you can go into the personal and you can find out about your fellow officers who you work with and find out if, maybe they've done something wrong. Maybe they were belligerent, or maybe they were just great officers. You can actually find this stuff out in one of the directories by looking up your fellow officers. There is something in here that you'll find out about one of your officers and something that may have happened and impacts his life. And Sonny talks to him, or you have that option to talk to him, and there it is right there. And he basically eventually decides to he's going to do a leave of absence. Other than convincing him to stop and then take the leave of absence, nothing else really comes of it. But I just thought that was kind of cool that you can read these records and Sonny has an impact on someone else within the game that is not directly related to the main story. It's just kind of like a little side quest. So now I'm just walking around, and I believe this is narcotics. And you can see Lloyd is like, hey man, what's up, dude? And you talk to him about drugs, and after you've read his record, he decides a LOA is good to go to rehab, so that's good. And it's interesting, it says that Steve is working on something, but for me, I could not find out how to look at what Steve was doing. And I thought this part was difficult also because it says talk to officer about the range, and he's like, yep, I work here. And then you're like, what are you trying to do? And I'm like, practice. And he's like, okay, but he doesn't do anything. And it's also weird that you literally have to ask him. I think I called it a headset first because that's what I imagine when cops go in there. They always put these big headsets on. It's weird that he's like, yeah, you can go ahead and practice, but he doesn't offer to give you the earbuds. No, he's just going to let you go in there, shoot, and go deaf, which forces an end of the game. You'll see I accidentally do it once later on, where I go in and shoot and forgot to put the ear protection on. So we fire our gun and we can see that the sight's off. So you have to adjust the sight to move it to the left. Well, I think it's random. In my case, it was to the left and down slightly. So I think the sight's off is not always in the same position as where mine is. I think it's just randomly picked as to where it's gonna misalign. But so you get a little screwdriver and you keep adjusting the sights until you get it right. And the first time you get it right, it actually you'll know because it gives you points. There you go. It is now aligned properly. Even though I didn't hit dead center, it was where I was shooting. Then you have to give the protection back. And I noticed because I asked him for more ammo, and he goes, "Yeah, your clip's not empty." So what I did is I came back in here thinking I'm going to use this gun again, and I'm going to need full ammo. So I just came in here, blew the last 2 shots, and then asked him for ammo again. And he gives you fresh ammo. This was something that was pure luck that I even looked at it, because I noticed it kind of stuck out. So it stands in front of the door. And this is something that I thought was what they could have done with the scuba gear is they have something protruding out, and you can see that it's a little bit in front of the door. So I thought, okay, this is a counter. Like there's something on the counter or something around the counter or a drawer in this counter, and there happens to be a field kit. So you put the field kit in the trunk, and we're going to go ahead and what we'll do is we'll take off. And this is something that I didn't like too much is the inconsistency. So when you go to the cop car or the undercover car and you go open door, if it's locked, it says it's locked. So you have to say unlocked. You have to type unlocked door. And it says okay. And then you can say open door. And then it says okay. And then you can get in. But what's weird is when you walk up to the police station and walk up to the door, it literally just says you unlock the door and go in. So I wish there was some consistency as in if you say open door and you have the key, it just unlocks it automatically versus, if you don't have the key, it says, oh, that's a good idea, but you don't have the right key or something. Then you have to go get the key and then just type unlock door. I just thought it was so weird to have to type unlock door, open door on the undercover car versus you just walk up to the police station, say open door, and it says it's locked, but you unlock it and go in. So something that I wish they would have tightened up on. So now we're in the jail, and as you can see, Keith walks off. So I save the game as thanks, Keith, because that's all I pretty much say through the whole thing is thanks, Keith. And put your gun in the locker, close it. And this was so weird because in Police Quest 1, all you did was press the buzzer and they let you in. And so I kept pressing the button. He's like, what do you want? And I was like, show badge? And it finally worked. So apparently in Police Quest 2, not only do you put your gun away, but when you press the buzzer, you also have to show your badge versus last time they just opened it for you. So you go over here and you ask for the file of the officer who was taken hostage. And then you'll ask for the file on Baines where you see there's a more updated photo. And nicely, they have two of them, so you can take that mugshot and have the updated photo of Jesse Baines. So we now know that there was a witness named Saxton, and this took me a second also to find out, like, what did you see? What's weird is, even though this dude's in jail, you might not have noticed I was typing it earlier, I was asking for Saxton's file, thinking we need to look up this guy and see what he is. Can he be trusted with information he's going to be provided? And see, it just says there is no Saxton file, which is weird. So why is he in jail? Like, how is he in jail without a file on him of some kind to say why he's there? Another thing that I wish they could have done to just kind of emphasize how well connected everything is. Like, is this Saxton guy someone who's trustworthy, even though he's in jail, versus, is he just saying this to try to get a plea deal? Or does he not have a history of doing this type of, like, trying to attempt to get a plea deal? So while you drive around, you can talk to Keith about different stuff. Typically, it's about his smoking or about his wife. So there is that. So we've arrived at the mall because the car is found here. So this is the correctional officer's car, the blue one. So we're going to open the trunk and get the field kit, close the trunk. Can't get on this side of the door, so we'll go on the other side. It even tells you, can you try the other side of the door? So as always, check the glove box, because that's where you're going to find stuff. And there's a holster and a registration. When you look at the registration, it confirms you're looking at the right car. So this is all stuff that we're going to turn in for evidence when we go back to the police station. And when she shows up, you'll see that I talked to her, and then I'll restore here in a second. So you ask her about the car, and she can't remember her license plate. And so I tried to ask her for her name, and he's like, oh, I guess that's it. And the reason I was trying to get her name, we can look up the license, which is what I was trying to be snarky about in my little comment there. And since Keith walked around and that officer walked around, I figured I'd try to walk around, but you can't. Every time you try to leave, it says you need to get in the car to leave. So now that the officer is talking to her, we've done everything we can. I think this is where I restore. Yeah, so I'm going to go back and try to fingerprint stuff and take photos of the crime scene, which is something I don't think I did the first time. And naturally, most of it is, it's not worth processing. But you can use the camera to take a picture of the crime scene, which is just a good habit. I don't know that that does anything, though, because I took pictures of every crime scene going forward from here, and it never really indicates that, oh, the pictures from the crime scene verify, the pictures of the crime scene show this, nothing. It's just like, click, you took a picture. So once we try to dust everything for fingerprints, we basically talk to the woman, we get the partial plate, and that's going to be it. Oh, but what I was saying earlier is if we could have got her name, I'm sure we could have probably looked her up and got the actual license plate that of her car, which she can't remember all of. But now we have a description of the car and a partial plate. So this is what we're going to work off for now. And so we get a call that there is a jogger over at the park who saw what she believes to be some blood. So it won't automatically drive there if you don't change it. Like from there to I start driving towards the station, it'll just drive to the station. And then so he says, "Hey, I'll bet you the jogger's a dude." So it's up to you. But it does turn out to be a female. And they really emphasize this officer's Italian accent. I mean, as I read his dialogue, I literally heard, "It's a me, I'm Mario." You know, that type of over the top Italian sort of sounding accent. Is Mario Italian? I mean, it sounds like an Italian name. Anyway, she says she's seen some blood. So I, being a paranoid cop, just draw my gun. And the music right there got super intense. So I knew something was up. And boom, out springs Jesse Baines. Bang, bang. And this takes, I think, 2 or 3 times before I actually get past this part. And a lot of it is I was trying to use the function keys to load and fire. But what happens is you fire and you miss him, but it's enough to freak him out enough that he basically bolts. So now we know he was here, so we're going to get the field kit and we're going to try to track down some information because we still haven't seen where this blood is in this park. So it's not on there, so we're going to keep moving. And if you look all the way up the top, you can see what looks like blood, but there's also a trash can here, which seems very out of place. So when you look in the trash, it says, "Oh yeah, you find trash." And if you move the trash around, it says, "Oh, hey, you find some clothes in here." And it has a name tag. And when you look at the name tag, it's J. Baines, which indicates Jesse Baines was here. So now you go over here, look at the blood, and Keith is like, "Ooh, it looks like that poor jailer's dead. There's blood," and then just drag marks that lead into the lake. And there's also footprints. So what you're going to do is with the field kit, you're basically going to use it to use the eyedropper on the blood to get some blood. And then you're also going to use the plaster to get like a footprint. So we have our evidence, and I typed secure scene, but apparently that doesn't really care. When you try to fingerprint the trash can, it's not worth it. Too many people digging around in the trash. And so they say, "Hey, you know what? Since it looks like he's been dragged into the water, we have radioed a diver." Now, I think this part's really weird, and I get why they did it for the game, because Sonny Bonds has his scuba certificate, whether or not you found it or not, because it's so stupidly hidden. But we have to just wait for the diver at this point, who just shows up, but he doesn't show up on this screen. You literally have to walk the next screen over to actually see him. And he's like, "What do you need?" And he says, "Hi, Sonny." And you say, "Dive for body." And he's like, "Oh, would you happen to have a scuba certificate? Because I don't like to dive alone, and I won't dive alone." So at this point is when you would, if you hadn't already, you would have to find your scuba certificate in the cop badge that you carry with you. And you can look in here and it tells you everything that's in here, like a wetsuit, flippers, and all that stuff. And I am not 100% sure, but tank 4 is something you won't use, but tank 1, 2, and 3 are the ones you would use. And what you're going to do, and I don't know if this is randomized, you're going to grab a tank and say, "Look at the air." So like for me, tank 3 had 2200. So grab tank 1, it has 256. Grab tank 2, it has 269. So clearly tank 3 has the most oxygen. I do not know if that's randomized, so it may not be tank 3 for you if you play. So now we're diving, and I would recommend saving here. It's Sierra, so save early, save often, right? Some of the stuff is hard to see, but I spotted what looks like a gold thing. Kind of looks like it does look like a badge. Um, and sure enough, when you grab it, it is indeed a badge. And it's one of the things mentioned in the files is someone's badge was tossed and thrown into the lake. And so you can pretty much guess there's probably something on every screen, so you just need to like figure it out. And to see what it is, all you have to do is hit look down, and to check your air, just say look air. And I saw something in the rocks, but got too close and got sucked down into the current, which apparently is very strong. I don't know where this waterfall side is over here that you can see in the upper left, but apparently there's a waterfall. And you can see the current is clearly pulling to the right, so clearly there's a current downstream that if you get pulled into it, bangs you around the rocks and knocks you unconscious. And so it says, you can see something, it looks like a hand, and so I tried moving rocks, and ta-da! There's a body there. So you basically say remove body, and it'll signal the other diver to come over, and you guys remove the body together. And it appears that he was shot in the head, close range. Go back into the van, change your clothes. We're going to use a camera to photograph the crime scene. Again, at the time I wasn't sure if that impacts the game at all. Honestly, I don't think it does. Pretty much any time you arrive at a crime scene or are leaving a crime scene, you might as well just type use radio to see if it does anything. And definitely pay attention if you're driving, because they may say, hey, we got traffic, which means it got something to do. And so while you're driving somewhere, you may need to drive somewhere else, just like right then. I was driving back to the station, and it says, hey, the stolen car from the woman at the mall was spotted at the airport. So you walk around to try to find the car. Spoiler alert, it's that one. And what you can do is, I'm going to close the door because I don't want anyone to get into it. I have to get my field kit because it's always in the trunk. You can't get in your own car unless you put the field kit in there. Open the glove box, and for once it's empty. But what you want to do is kind of, oh yeah, there is the VIN, which you can use to verify the car, even though you could probably just look at the license plate. But you can dust the steering wheel, which will yield nothing. You dust the doors, won't yield anything. But when you dust the mirror, it will yield a fingerprint. And then you use the tape to basically capture that fingerprint. So we use the radio, call in the license, and confirm the VIN. So now we're going to check if we can cross to go to the airport, which does look like. The light is red, so we're going to press the green, and you actually get points for pressing green. And mysteriously, this woman shows up. And it's not random because she has entrance music. Like, she suddenly comes in with music. So you buy a rose thinking you're going to give it to Marie. Tried to flash my badge at these two gentlemen out here to see if they had seen Jesse Baines, and it's a no. So you talk to this guy, flash it, and he goes, I don't have time to look at your photo album. So you flash your badge, and he says, hey, yeah, sorry, officer, doesn't look familiar. So we're going to look at the ashtray, do the Leash Suit Larry thing. Go to the bathroom, use toilet, and it actually says you can relieve yourself. And when I did look toilet, it suddenly showed the toilet up close, and I was like, okay, well, we have to do something with the toilet. So in the first one, there was nothing. Look toilet in the second one. Oh, it's a gun. So you get the gun out. Gonna go ahead and close the toilet. And just to make sure nothing is in the third toilet, because we've already opened the first and second, there's nothing in the third. All right. So I figured they mentioned the gun is wet. So I figured to use a dryer. I thought the thing to the left was a dryer, but it's not. I don't know what that's supposed to be. But to me, that looks more like a dryer than the thing to the right. But I guess I can see how the thing to the right is a dryer. It's the button and then the hose coming down. I get it when I look at it now, but I totally thought the bigger gray thing was the dryer. I am assuming that's maybe like some kind of trash can. I don't know, like the paper, uh, not napkin, but paper dispenser to dry your hands, and then the trash is probably what that is. He's still like, nope, I don't know it. So you're gonna cut in front of the woman, go over to the other side, and I couldn't tell if that was a woman, so that's why I put the question mark. And then you show the badge, show the photo. And she's like, nope. Show the badge, show the photo. Nope. So let's try this woman, cut in front of the other woman, and say, hey, show badge. And she's like, why, yes. So that's another one where it is kind of misleading that they kind of put this behind a woman who already looks busy, like looks like she wouldn't talk. And if you do just try to talk to her without showing your badge, she pretty much says, can you wait in line? And so they talk about possibly renting a car. So we're going to come back here, try it again, show photo. Nope. Nope. Can't go that way. All right, so let's walk around. And as far as I could tell, it's, seeing if I could see a list of rentals. You show the badge, and they're like, sure. But nothing shows up. Nothing looks like Jesse Baines or anything. But to me, that looks like you can't go up and to the left. It looks like that's like tied off with the wall and a rope. That is actually incorrect. You can go that way, which is again kind of misleading because it just looks like it's all just roped off. And I don't realize it until later on in the game where you actually have to leave the city that you're in, Lytton, however you pronounce the town, and you have to go somewhere else. And when I got there, I was like, well, where can I go? There's like, I've already walked around this airport. There's nowhere else to go. Like, where do I leave? And I walked back and to the left, and there's another car rental place there. And guess what? Spoiler alert. If you go there and show the photo of Jesse Baines, they say, yeah, he's rented a car. But this is already after the fact because you've already done everything you needed to do by this point. That you found that car, everything that has to do with that is done. And you're already on your way to leave the town. So I just thought that was kind of funny, and I think I even saved the game as something like, oh, good to know after the fact, or something along those lines. There are times I'll say that sometimes you'll see where like it says replace the save game and it pauses there for a second. What I'm actually doing is when I reach the maximum amount of save games, I create another folder, throw those save games in there, go back into save, and then it empties it out. So I'm going to actually keep saving games and I won't overwrite any of my save games. And I totally forgot how to spell Marie's last name, which is with an A, not an I. Tried to look at the letter to see the last name, and it's not there. Tried it with an A, and there it is, 5554169. Now, I put LOL at the end when I typed that because I am not sure if that is supposed to be an adult joke. So you call this number for 169. Call her for 169, as in the sexual position 69. 4169. All right. Anyone else? Is it just me who thinks that was the joke or not? That they weren't trying to be clever with the 555 4169. I don't know. Maybe it was just me. Anyway, she says, hey, let's meet at Arnie's for a date. So you're like, cool. And the captain says, go ahead and go. Even though there is a maniac serial killer on the loose, go ahead and just enjoy the rest of your day. Don't worry about it. So you go here, and the waiter shows up and says, "Hey, these are our three options. I don't think it matters. I picked prime rib. She picked a lobster." And you give the rose to her, and she says, "Oh, you're so wonderful." And that's where she talks about that her life is turned around, and then you kiss her, and she's like, "What do you think of my new lipstick?" Which will come into play because her lipstick and what it's named will show up again. So couldn't figure out anything, like nothing was happening, so I just kept typing "Kiss Marie," and it gets to the point where she says, "Listen, we got to go somewhere private." And that's what they kind of allude to, is that you meet her and you go to the house, and the rest they say is history, which is, I'm sure, to indicate 4169. All right. So we go back in, and this is what I mean. We open the door's locked, you just walk right in. And the captain says, "Hey, looks like we have another victim, and looks like he took it to the back of the head." So I save the game with the address we need to drive to, because I'm going to check all this other stuff before I start driving, and it'll just be easier to look at the save game. But I did also write it down, so I have like a little note paper that has all these addresses and phone numbers that I need to go from Police Quest 1 and 2, just all on one piece of paper. So we're going to head that way and drive over there, 160 West Rose. So you show up, and it's Officer Mario again. And he's like, "I see a lot of blood, huh?" And so you're like, "Cool." And you can see the blood dripping right out of the back of the trunk. And the trunk is open, so we're going to get the field kit, and we're going to look inside. We're going to use the eyedropper on the blood to collect the blood evidence. And this is one of those times where sometimes while I'm playing the game, I'll stand up to go get food, or I'll stand up to go get soda, or I'll play with my corgi. So I don't forget that the game is recording. I just forgot to go back and edit out to trim that portion out. It happens a few times. It happens in all of my videos. I try to remember where I can to cut those out. Sometimes just like that, I just forgot. So there was actually a long pause there. Now, what's weird is in here, you look at the body and you search the body and stuff like that, and you find an envelope clutched, or part of an envelope clutched in his hand. And if you say "get envelope," it says you can't. So you have to actually specify "get corner of envelope." And this was one of those times where, you say "look at face," it identifies who he is. And I was trying to talk to the corner to say "take the body," and like no one's doing anything. So I feel like I'm still missing something. And so I kept saying "search body," and then finally you can say "take corner of the envelope," and now we have an address. And I'm typing like "release body," and the corner literally says, "let me know when you're ready to release the body." And I literally type "release body," and that's why I put right there. I feel like I'm missing something. No one's doing anything. Like Keith hasn't come back. He's actually in the car. So I'm like, what do I do here? Like, why won't he take the body? Like, go ahead and take the body. And just nothing is working out for me here. Talk to corner, remove body, ask corner to remove body. You're not close enough. And every time I say that, like, I can't get any closer. Done with the body. Talk to corner. Finish with body. Corner, take body. Literally, like, I was like, why isn't he taking the body? Ask corner to remove body. You're not close enough. Look in trunk. Like, am I still missing something? Ask corner to remove body. So maybe it has to happen. Yes. While you're actually still looking at the trunk, you have to ask him to remove the body. So it's really weird, kind of things like that. And once they take the body, you look in there again, and you can see there's actually a note in there, and it says, "Bonds, you're a dead man." So cool. Now we got a note from Jesse Baines threatening us as well. But we also have an address to drive to. So go ahead and put that in the trunk. Get in the car, and here comes Keith with absolutely no information. So we're going to go ahead and drive to the station. As always, after collecting evidence, make sure to turn it in. And always, after you turn it in, always go to your desk and check your basket for any further evidence reports that may have come back. And after you talk to Lloyd and come back in the next day, Steve basically tells you, hey, man, like Lloyd went on LOA to take care of his issues. I can't remember why I was doing that. I think I was trying to trigger the captain to tell me something. But I did walk back and forth into that room several times, your office, and I just played it like 2 days ago, and I don't remember why I was doing that. So again, I'm just walking around trying to talk to officers and get some information. Keith looks very relaxed. So clearly missing something, because I'm going to just get in the car, and what we're going to do is we're going to drive to that address. And I need to get the key. Freaking Keith is in the way. So we restore back here, because I think I forgot to do some of the stuff. And also I forgot to write down the address. So I'm basically just going here to get the address. You have to look at the face. Right, got it. Let me restore back to where I was, and then we'll drive there. Because I totally forgot to write down the address of that envelope at the time. And Keith seems to be familiar with the inn you're headed to, even though he does talk about being married. He reluctantly says, "Oh, not that I'm familiar with it." So you get there and you're going to show your badge. What can I do for you, officer? And you show the updated Baines photo, and he says, "Yep, he's in room 108." Now you can see I'm asking for a warrant. Ask for a warrant to search room. I know we need a warrant to get in the room, right? I am not joking when I say I tried 50, 60 different types of ways to explain I need a warrant. Like, I know he's in room 108, but we can't just kick down the door. So let's get a warrant. So I'm talking to Keith to get a warrant, get warrant, need warrant, officer. When I say use radio, Keith says, well, for what? So try to go out, talk to Keith about Baines. Like, maybe he doesn't know that he's in room 108. Use dispatch. And if you say get warrant from outside of the car, it says maybe you should use dispatch. So when you say use dispatch, it says for what? If you say use dispatch for warrant, it says I was getting super sassy. I don't know if you caught it just a second ago. I just put, Keith, just work with me. So this is the only time in Police Quest 2 during this play that I actually, and so I said get backup, and I thought maybe they'll have the warrant. But this is the only time. So backup shows up, and you're like, yeah, get warrant, and they're like, yeah, maybe you should use dispatch. I'm like, we need a warrant, people. And it was really funny. Like, I was so frustrated once I looked up how you have to phrase it. But as you can see, I'm struggling to get this warrant that I know that I need, that if we don't do it, something's going to go wrong, right? Like, we can't arrest him or whatever the case is going to be. Like, we're not following proper procedure, and Police Quest is all about proper procedure. So as I was saying, this is literally the one time that I was like, okay, I've tried like 1,000 times. Like, if you tell this guy, I need a room key, and he says, you know what, my people have rights too. So it's verification. We need a warrant to open that door. And I cannot, you see me just running around. Somebody give me a warrant, please. So I end up, actually going online and finding how to get a warrant. And you literally have to type radio warrant, and a woman, I assume it's a woman, shows up with a warrant. And I literally wrote, why is this so hard? So you get the warrant from her, you go to him, you show the badge, show him the warrant, and he gives you the key. Now the thing is, you tell the officers to position themselves. Um, so now we're going to go ahead and move in, but you don't want to stand at the front of the door in case, Jesse Baines is standing right inside the door, ready to fire and try to make a break for it, right? So you want to make sure you're standing to the side of the door. And when you unlock it and open it, the door gets blasted open. And so the officers shoot in some tear gas. You're going to have to wait for the tear gas to finish. And when you go in, there's a shotgun rigged to the door. So when the door is opened, it shoots the shotgun. So it's clearly a trap set up to shoot and kill, ideally, whoever comes to that door. So we're going to go get our field kit. We're going to do this whole thing. Now, what you have to do is you have to stand really close to the blood. It does mention that there is blood on the bed, so you're going to use the eyedropper for that. And there's a drawer here. And if you look, there's now another address and a name with it. So we're going to go ahead and get that envelope. And inside, you can see that Baines basically set this guy up. So we're going to go ahead and search the area, like look around the bed, look under the bed. And when you go to that side, it says, hey, there's a tube of lipstick. And it is the same lipstick brand that your girlfriend Marie wears. So when you go in there, you can go look, and this one's kind of hidden. So you have to go in there and you say, look, and then you'll find a card. And you find out someone who helped put Baines away is in a town called Steelton. So now we have someone that Baines is probably going to go for next. And give the key. Well, you have to give the hotel key or motel key back. And then he's super mad because obviously we've busted his window and the door's been shot up, and he's angry about it. And then when I typed wave, it just says okay. I was pretty saucy when I was playing Police Quest 2, especially after the whole trying to get a warrant deal. So again, we have more evidence, so we're going to book that stuff. And the captain's putting it together. It seems like he's after everyone who Baines is after everyone who put him away. So now what we're going to do is on that business card, there was a number. You're going to call him and say, hey, my name is Detective Bonds, and you're going to warn him about Jesse Baines. And he's like, I'm not worried. I'm in the protection program. It's fine. And you're like, oh, this guy doesn't know, despite the warning. So when you go here, you'll find out, I just passed it actually, that he had, as I said, he was part of the trial that put Baines away, and that he has been put in the witness protection, and he's in Steelton, just like he said on the phone. So I am actually probably finding this out in reverse order. Like, you probably look here first to learn that he is in protective, whatever I just said, totally blanking, the witness protection program, and that he's in Steelton. Which it's weird that cops would keep record of someone who's in the witness protection program in their files to say that, hey, he's in Steelton with their witness protection. I feel like that's like something the FBI maybe might keep. And here's the file on Marie. So the captain once again repeats what he said. And now we're going to go to the other address, which is Marie's address, which if you don't know, you just get it off the file. Because since her tube of lipstick was found at the hotel, we need to see if Marie's okay. So I quickly draw the gun, and he's like, I think you might not need that. So when you approach, it says, there's a note on the door, and it says gone shopping. But you open up the door, go inside, because you know where the key is, and clearly the whole place is disheveled. So I look at the floor, and there's an ashtray, and a lamp. So you look in the ashtray, there's a piece of paper, and you realize that piece of paper is a hit list as to who Baines is going after. So once you get that paper, there's actually nothing else here to find. But I think I go back, open the trunk, get the field kit, and try to dust for fingerprints. Spoiler, don't waste your time. There is nothing that you can dust because everything is not worth processing. I also got to wonder why Keith is searching her bedroom. Like, what is he looking for? I mean, we know he's been to that hotel. That is kind of shady. Perhaps used for services rendered. And now he's in Marie's bedroom searching. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and turn in evidence about the name and the ashtray stuff. Steve randomly blurts out these poems if you ask about it. And then you can get Colby's file and talks about how he was on, part of the trial that put Baines away. And as always, I typically go through all the files to see if there's anything of interest that may pop up. But most of these, as I said before in Police Quest 1, when I did the same thing, they're just there to show that there is more than just one file. So it kind of makes it feel more realistic versus it's one file, then a bunch of scribbled names in the background that you can't read. So I actually enjoy that aspect that they took time to create stuff in there that is not necessary to the game, but adds to the realism that it feels like something's there. So you find out that the shotgun that Baines used was used in a robbery. So you go to the robbery team and ask them about the shotgun, and they said, yep, it was recently used. So then you take the paper that has the death threats, show it to the captain, and he's like, yeah, maybe you should warn Colby. And you're like, I tried. Like, the dude just doesn't care. But that's probably where Baines is headed for next, because he wants to take down Colby. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and head for the airport and try to fly. But first, since we can pretty much guess that we're about to probably get into a firefight with Baines, we're going to go ahead and check our gun again. Because last thing we need is a gun that doesn't have the sight set and get in a gunfight. And you can see the sight is way off. Even though I've not fired my gun, the sights on the gun have somehow gone way off. So I aim for the center and it was all the way to the left. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the gun. I don't think it gives points this time, the second time, for adjusting it correctly, because I got to the point where I was satisfied with how it was and I didn't earn any points for adjusting it to the point where I got it. And I was still able to do what I needed to do at the end of the game, which I won't talk about yet because I don't want to spoil it. So what I'll probably do is fast forward this section because I do spend quite a bit of time trying to get it right this time, which I should have just been happy right there. But because it didn't award me any points, I thought, okay, it awarded me points the first time. Maybe I need to have it right. So I kept trying to get it right. And so I was not yet satisfied. So I go back, get more ammo. We're going to do this again. So I seem satisfied with that, but like I said, I had 179 before I got it there, so now I'm just burning bullets to make sure when I leave, I have a fresh clip of ammo. So I was just randomly shooting until all the bullets were done. So now we're going to head to the airport because we're going to fly to Steelton and try to save Baines' next victim from being a victim. And once again, you're going to want to press the green button. No points this time, but it does turn it green so you can cross. Gonna go try to buy tickets, but you have like 36 bucks to your name. And it's 160. So Key says, hey, let me phone it in. We'll get permission from captain to basically fly, and they'll pay for it. And it gets vouched for. So what you're going to do is now that it's been approved, we're going to call the police in Steelton and give them a heads up that we're headed out there so that they know we're coming. We're going to also warn him about Baines and tell him that we think he's over there and that Colby is in the area. Try to tap his phone. We warned him, but he's not taking it seriously. So go over here, get your ticket to Steelton. It says cool, gate 12. And you see that's the limo service I was talking about. So you show the badge, says what can I do for you? Nope, she doesn't recognize it. But once again, it's someone in line. That's someone that says, yep, I recognize him. You look at the thing and it shows it was registered in the officer's name who is held hostage. So you show the ID to the cop so he doesn't blast you when you walk through with a gun. Talk to the woman, but it's not a woman. So you're going to talk to the people, and you talk to Larry Laffer. All right, so we can't do anything else really. We can try to give Larry $1 for his lotto ticket, but it says don't do it. And so you're going to go ahead and get onto the plane. Welcome aboard. Nice. Last minute tickets, and we still got front seat. So go ahead and sit down, fasten your seatbelt, and the plane is going to take off. Now, when I was playing, I noticed it wasn't so much of like the plane takes off, the captain talks, and you land or anything like that. Like she comes out, orders drinks, or asks people for drinks and stuff like that. So I just did the typical cop thing and said coffee, even though I myself cannot stand coffee at all. And even after that, the flight attendant is walking around and doing stuff, and I kind of figured something is about to happen. You know what I mean? Like, we're not just flying and landing. Like, something is going to go down. That's why I saved it. Something good. Like, she's just walking around and we're not flying and landing, so something's going to happen to her. And I couldn't remember. I honestly, when I was playing this part, I could not remember. But sure enough, 2 terrorists show up. And they basically want to have a flight to their home in Egypt. So you have to quickly stand and fire. Then the other terrorist who went into the captain's cockpit comes out, and you have to quickly fire again. And that's why I saved the game as knew it, because I knew something was going to go down. And so when she comes to, she goes over and talks to the captain, and he goes inside. And when the guy dies, he says, I will not go alone. I'll take you all with me. So now you know there's a bomb on here. So on one of them, you're going to search his turban of all the things. And the other one, you're going to search for like his pocket. So you have to search both of them to find both of what you need. So if you look, you have a bomb instruction manual. So if you say look, it'll just show you a picture of it. You actually have to read it. And what you're going to do is do the reverse order of how the bomb was built. So I'm looking for the bomb. So I look under the sink to make sure it's there. It's like, nope, you find nothing. Look in the sink. Nope. Look in the trash. Nope. Look in the toilet, because, I mean, they put guns in there, so look in the dispenser. Oh, dispenser zooms in, and we got a bomb. So I'm going to read the bomb instructions. So connect the yellow wire. So first, let's cut the yellow wire. Cut the purple, cut the blue. I'm doing this by memory, right? And then cut the white. There's another thing to do, is watch. So connect the blue. And the instructions talk about connecting the yellow wire. So then you have to reconnect it and then cut the yellow wire. And that will stop the timer. So you open the door, walk out, and you tell everyone, hey, I found the bomb. No worries. So the paint, it's so funny. Like literally there was just a shootout in the plane, and the plane's just going to continue on its way to Steelton versus just landing at the first available airport. Like we just flew with these two corpses in the front. No one minded it. So you eventually get picked up by one of the Steelton officers who flies you around in the helicopter, and you show up at the office. Now, originally, this office layout distorted my view with the way it's kind of split. Didn't realize that you could literally walk to the right. It looked like it wasn't connected. So you go here and you talk to him. And this is another one where it's weird. Like you clearly see there's two radios on that table, and he doesn't hand them to you, but he's like, yeah, you know what? Go take a look at Burt Park. So you look at the table, you get radio, you're not close enough. And if you move to get closer, it says, oh, did you forget something? Oh, the two radios. Yeah, go ahead and grab it. And apparently it just automatically gives a radio to Keith because you can't give it to him. So you're going to go ahead and go with the driver who has a lot to say, and you're going to go to Burt Park. And he says, yeah, he made the call from the telephone booth. So now we're going to walk around Burt Park, and this takes me a moment. What I believe to be actually like a path through these bushes turns out to be what I need to find. You can kind of see it in the ground, but it's one of those things that, yet again, Police Quest 2 is trying to hide something that should be kind of easier seen. Like they purposely put it in a shadow and just give you the tip of it. And I should say, so the mugger shows up, I showed him my badge, and he's like, oh, you're a cop, and runs away. And so a dog randomly shows up, and I'm following the dog, and I don't know where Keith is at, so I'm like, use radio. And then it's like, well, what's your story? You already scared away the badge guy. And I was like, I should have used the radio for the mugger. So I'm going to go ahead and restore again and just wait around, look at the ducks, wait for the mugger to show up. And I use the radio, and that scares him off. But this time the result is different. It brings the mugger, which you would think maybe this mugger has information about Jesse Baines because he hangs out at this park all the time, and maybe the mugger does have information. Like maybe I should have showed him the photo or something. But yeah, you just arrest him and he goes to Steelton. So I'm walking around the park, and on the screen, do you see a manhole? See, that's where I thought it was a path. I tried to move forward, and it doesn't. So I don't know what I'm looking for yet, but in hindsight, the manhole that's there is not obvious. So I'm literally just walking around this park looking for a clue as to what I should do and how, like, Jesse Baines is somewhere around here. So I walk back, and I'm like, where is this place that I'm looking for? There's nothing here. Let's go this way. That's not a path. And then I say, look dirt, and it tells you it's a manhole. That's why I put ... Seriously? So use the radio, doesn't matter. So we're going to open up the manhole, and we're going to climb down. And no matter what, you're just going down the manhole by yourself. And I save the game. Better not be a maze. Also, if you fall into the sewage, you die, which happens, I think, 2 or 3 times to me. And there's also methane gas in here, which will, if you do not move through it quick enough, will also kill you. So when you can, I would recommend saving, through the game so that you can make it through the gas. Because if you don't hurry up, you die. Just got to keep trucking and you make it out. There's a ladder over there, so maybe that's the way out. But nothing you can do can lift the manhole. But it does make a lot of noise, which draws Jesse Bain's attention. So clearly not that way. That is what you would call a red herring. So we're going to go ahead and go over here. I'm cursing the damn maze, just wandering around, and there's gas over there, so I'm like, screw it. Oh, what's this compartment? You open that up. Oh, look at that. It's a gas mask. Wouldn't that have been convenient to find sooner? Like, why is this not at the very entrance of every manhole if you know that there's going to be methane gas? And you can't use it beforehand until it says, you feel like burning in your eyes. And right here we can see there's a hole. So look in the hole and it says it's for personnel only. And if you try to go over it, you fall. So clearly that's also not the way. You can't climb down. So we're going to go ahead and go around. And I'm starting to feel like I'm going in circles because everything looks the same. And it's one of those times where you would think when you hit diagonal, Sunny would just walk perfectly diagonal. Oh, there's a door on the other side. So let's go back and try to save, get across here, open this door. And it's Marie and a very fancy computer down in the sewer system. Well, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to calm Marie down first. Because we've already been shot by Jesse Baines when I died. So we know he's down here. So we don't want her making a bunch of noise. And then you hear footsteps. You want to hide. And what I tried to do is F8 to load my gun and stuff like that. And you'll see I die quite a bit when I'm trying to fight Jesse Baines. And the problem was when I went to hide, I was still facing forward and I was trying to basically turn Sunny so that he would be facing Jesse Baines. But when I did, sometimes he walked out. Sometimes I tried to press fire too many times or too soon. And it would just go click, 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 click because I've already fired a bunch of shots. So you can see I am clearly dying quite a few times over here with Jesse Baines. But finally, after whatever the 10th, 12th, 15th time, finally shoot him and you go and you look at him and he is certainly deceased. The death angel has been silenced. And so you go over to Marie and you guys kiss and life is good. You are placed on a mandatory leave for using a firearm that does result in a person's death. But the courts will, not the courts, but the recommendation basically says, you did it in self-defense. You also did it because she was a hostage, so you did it with reason. And so you and Marie decide, well, we're going to take some time off. We're going to go to a paradise island, and let's just get on the plane now. So we're flying away. Life certainly seems good. You're there with your woman, and you ask, will you marry me? And she says yes. And you give the thumbs up. Thanks for playing Police Quest 2, the end. So, as always, we've reached another end. The next one I'm going to dive into next will be Police Quest 3. If you enjoy these videos, please click like, subscribe, share it around social media, share it on the web, do whatever. Thanks.